everybody. We are going to get started. Thank you for being here, taking some time out of your day. This is a really important workshop. We did this once about a year and a half ago, and everybody gave feedback that they were sleeping better from some of the things they took out of it. So glad you guys could be here. I do expect you to get a lot out of this workshop. I have a lot of information to give you guys, and I think you're going to find a lot of benefit from it. Already started the video, Jordan, so you're good. Thank you. I'd like to wake everyone up with a couple of jokes. Do you guys know what you call a sleeping cow? A bulldozer. Right? Do you know what James Bond does before he goes to bed? He goes under covers. What did the baby broom hear from the mama broom? It's time to sweep. Right? All right, sorry. Thanks for bearing with me. So make sure everybody's awake, right? We're going to talk about sleep tonight. This is a huge, huge issue in our country overall. I know, with a lot of our patients that we talk to, there's definitely issues with sleep. It can be comfort and issues with pain in the body and how it's moving, or just an inability to find a way to get restful sleep. Raise your hand if you feel like you could be getting more sleep in your life. Raise your hand if you could be getting more restful sleep. Raise your hand if you've ever been super tired and still had trouble falling asleep at night. Raise your hand if you slept through a whole night and you woke up and you still felt like you didn't have energy the next day. Yeah, these are the issues that we're talking about, and they are very widespread. The latest statistics that they've come out with are somewhere between 10 to 30% of Americans suffer from insomnia. That's a big, big chunk of people. And so this is a huge issue, and that's why we're talking about it. This is kind of the feeling that we all get of never getting that rest, never getting that energy, and how it trickles into all of our lives, right? Some statistics to throw at you guys and why this is so important. 1 in 6 fatal crashes on the road are from drowsy drivers, sleepy drivers. 2 out of 5 drivers have fallen asleep or nodded off once in their lifetime. 2 out of 5 people have fallen asleep behind the wheel. Hey, come on in. Just getting started. In the last month, 4% of people have fallen asleep while driving their car on the road. There's more than 100 cars that go by right outside our door here about every 5 minutes or so every day. 4 of them fell asleep sometime in the last month behind the wheel. It's a scary, scary statistic.
And this is not alcohol from alcohol?
No, this is just drowsy, sleepy drivers, right? And a lot of these incidents happen on highways, right? When you're just driving straight on the highway and drifting across lanes, and it can cause these very, very serious fatal accidents, right? And to your point, they did a study on sleep deprivation versus alcohol when you're driving behind the wheel. And being intoxicated versus not sleeping the night before, not sleeping was a lot more dangerous, and there was greater incidence of issues on the road and driving, and worse driving. They did this on a driving course to see how they tested, and every one of the people who were sleep deprived drove worse than the alcohol, the people under the influence of alcohol, right? Come on, Louis. So this is a huge, huge issue, right? This is very, very much impacting people around us, right? This concerns me. We have a lot of not very safe drivers on the road, and to imagine that 4 out of 100 cars, and you probably see well more than 100 cars every time you're driving to work every single day, and to imagine that 4 of those people in this last month fell asleep behind the wheel, it's a very scary statistic, right? Personally, I know someone, and a lot of you guys here probably actually know this person, fell asleep behind the wheel as a young, healthy, fit individual, active in college, playing sports, very, very social, so chronically fatigued, fell asleep behind the wheel, woke up in the hospital the next day. Lucky that he didn't die, lucky that people around him didn't die. He hit those water barrels at one of those kind of intersections and woke up in the hospital. Right? And this is a healthy, active individual. And so this is affecting people all around us, and the kind of care that we do here, it's not just focused on the neck and the back, it's about holistic living. And so tonight is about how do you return to that natural sleep that you need to keep your body healthy and alive, because that's a component of your holistic health, right? And I'll tell you what that person did to get healthy, because it's a super important step in getting your body to where it needs to be. We are designed with these inputs that we need, and if we don't give our body these inputs, it's gonna react to that, right? To illustrate how important your sleep is, if you think about this, you can go for days without food, without water. Your body's gonna feel thirsty, it's gonna feel hungry, right? But it cannot force you to eat or drink. If you are sleep deprived and you go long enough without sleep, your body will put you to sleep. It will shut you down, right? Sleep deprivation is a form of torture that people use. And so this has huge impact on every system of your whole body and is an essential component. That's why we're doing this workshop tonight. So I'm glad that you guys are here. What we're going to talk about is, not just what's going on in the world, but why do you need sleep? What do you need? And I'm going to give you guys all the top strategies of how you get the best rest so you guys can maximize the time you have. For all the parents out there, everyone keeps asking, well, what do you do if you have kids? Sorry, you're not going to get rid of your kids, right? So pay attention. I'm going to give you all the things that you can do, because you're not going to get rid of those kids, right? So let's dive into it. Why do we need sleep? Right. Most people know that this is how your body is recovering energy, how it's repairing itself. There are a lot of really essential functions that only happen when you're sleeping. Number one that I would say, memory. If you guys didn't know this, if you know people who are suffering from memory issues, when you sleep, this is when you are consolidating your memories. You're turning short-term memory to long-term memory. It only happens when you sleep. If you don't rest, you don't store those memories. So the number one thing that they'll recommend for people who are having memory issues is to get better sleep and rest. That's a great thing to do before a test. I was just talking to an attorney this morning, because I was mentioning we're doing the sleep class, and he told me about how when he was in school, he thought, maybe I'll just study a little longer. I know I'm going to do better in school. Guess what happened to his performance? Dropped down. Did not help him, right? You perform worse with these things. And so performance, productivity, all of that's going to suffer. Obviously, energy and mood, right? Think about any child that never got sleep. How do they behave the next day? They're going to be cranky, they're going to throw a tantrum, right? How do we feel when we don't sleep? We're cranky, we're more irritable, right? And that's because the body is so reactive, it needs that time to recover its energy, to repair itself. Weight loss is a huge component of sleep. If you're not sleeping, your body becomes insulin resistant. So if you are not getting sleep, there is a direct correlation to how much weight people will actually gain. If you're trying to lose weight and you're missing this component, your body is at a disadvantage. It's an essential part of burning off the energy into your body, cleaning out the toxicity. So as far as your brain, what we do here is we obviously work on connecting the nervous system. Most of you guys know that for our patients here, right? And so your brain needs to clean itself at night. All the energy your brain is burning, all the toxicity and the accumulation of all those waste products get into your brain at night is when your brain is cleaning itself out. So it's turning memories into long-term memories. It's cleaning out the waste. If you're developing brain fog, often this can be a huge issue that's contributing to that, as well as other things that we'll talk about with what we do here too. Performance directly is impacted. So like I was saying with the lawyer who tried to study longer and he saw the drop in that, they've done studies on these things that, number one, athletes perform better when they're well rested. It's a huge important part of in a very competitive athlete's normal routine and regimen to get great rest before. And even to the point of when you're training, if you can take naps afterwards, your body starts to actually program the muscle memory. You internalize those memories into your body. Your body physically performs better because it had that time to store what you've been teaching it. They did studies on soldiers with their accuracy at a shooting range. And so they had them test on the shooting range to see how they score with a normal night of sleep, scoring 98% accuracy on these tests. They took away some of their sleep, put them into a sleep deprivation, and even just as much as an hour, those scores dropped from 98% to 50%. Imagine that, just losing an hour of sleep, and how many of us could get an extra hour of sleep, right? Imagine all these doctors in residency who are performing surgeries and not sleeping the night before. How do you want your doctor to perform a surgery if he's going to give you 50% of his best effort? Right? That's a scary thought. It's an essential part of my job to make sure I'm well rested to take care of people in the office. You don't want to come in and get half of an adjustment, right? That's not what you're here for by any means. So this is so important to make sure you're keeping the productivity level so you can actually perform. So these are some of the very, very essential parts of sleep. That's why we need sleep. And again, your body knows this. That's why it gives you these drives, and it will put you to sleep if you don't give it to it. So what do we actually need with our sleep? You guys have heard of sleep stages, right? Familiar with sleep cycles that we need? So I want to explain this so it makes a bit of sense. Now, first off, how much sleep do we need? That's often a question that people will ask. And the research will show the best amount of sleep is somewhere between 7 to 9 hours. Right? So that's the target. It is different person to person. And keep in mind with all this, and I'm going to go through the natural cycle of the body and all the things we can do to help enhance and stay on that natural, normal cycle that the body goes through so we get the best rest. That's what we're going to get to with the strategies. Everyone has a bit different cycle. Their circadian rhythm is very unique to each person. So you may know people who are early birds, you may know some of those night owls. Some of that is a genetic component. There are predispositions to those things. So some people need a shorter amount of time of sleep and they can function well. Other people need longer amounts of time. But what everybody goes through is these different cycles of sleep. And so we go through these cycles. Each cycle generally lasts about an hour and a half, 90 minutes. That's roughly what it is for most people on average, 90-minute sleep cycle. And so within that sleep cycle, what that typically is going to do is it's going to get you to that deep REM sleep, the rapid eye movement sleep. You guys have heard of REM sleep? That's when you're dreaming, right? When your eyes are moving, that's your dream state. There's these other states in sleep, and you can see these different colored bars. We go from light sleep towards deep sleep. The time when we're healing the most and our body's repairing itself is really actually in these deep sleep states. That's really what we need to help continue to keep our body functioning appropriately. And if you see, as you go through these cycles through the night, you do spend more time in that deep sleep state towards the beginning of the night. Then you begin to spend more time into that deep REM sleep. That's why often we'll remember our dreams, the last dreams that we had right when we woke up. If we wake up in one of these REM cycles. The best thing to get the best rest is to make sure you are actually completing a full cycle. You want to wake up right at the end of that cycle. If you wake up in the middle of it, that doesn't let your body go through that complete cycle. It doesn't wake up as well rested. So it's trying to find the timing that really works for you. And one of the best ways you can do this is through using, your sleep trackers. The watches have them now. You can use your phone. We'll talk certainly about keeping a lot of electronics around you, but you can use sleep trackers on your phone by putting it over onto your nightstand or elsewhere, and that's going to give you the best feedback so that you know exactly how your body is doing. There's a lot of different apps. You can play around with all of them. There are some free ones, and they do work well to really show you how you're moving around during the night to give you a good estimate on your sleep cycles and how you're getting through them. So you want to find the timing that works for you. For me, for example, about 7.5 hours is like a perfect night of sleep because that gets me through 5 sleep cycles, being about 90 minutes. That's usually when I can get that amount of sleep, be well rested, wake up right at the end of the sleep cycle. Again, it's different for every person, and you got to find out, are you actually getting into that deep sleep state, or are you just spending time in bed versus actually going to sleep? So those are the things we'll teach the strategies to make sure you are getting that deep rest. But does that make sense to everybody as far as what the body needs and what that goes through? So it's all about that deep sleep. One of the questions that sometimes people will ask, like, what happens if you wake up? What happens to these cycles? And the truth is that you stop this process. So if you do wake up, you're going back to the beginning. So for some people, it actually may end up being better that you can get through maybe 3 hours of sleep, get through 2 sleep cycles. If you wake up and you can get another 3 hours of sleep, there are things you can do to kind of play with the timing of that to help yourself feel a little bit better rested. You may not get into those deeper stages of the cycles where you're getting that deep REM sleep, but if you're getting, again, that deep sleep state, this little purple bar, you're going to get the best rest and recovery and repair, so that's an important part.
How long does that generally take?
For like the cycle is an hour and a half to get through one cycle, typically.
But the deeper sleep?
So again, that's a little different from person to person, right? How quickly you're dropping off. In these earlier stages, you're going to spend more time in that deep sleep, then it starts to spend a little bit less time as you're coming through it. The sleep trackers are the absolute best ways now that they have all these things and there's so much technology available to us. That's a great use of technology to really track it for yourself, see where you're at, kind of play around with it, and then you can develop that timing to make sure you're getting through those sleep cycles during your night. Okay? A little different person to person though, because some people do get into that deeper sleep a little quicker. So those are the stages. Now, if you take away nothing else from tonight, this is what you need to take away. This graphic shows us all about that circadian rhythm. You guys are familiar with the circadian rhythm that we go through, this internal clock that our body has? Human beings have been around for a long time. Technology, light bulbs, hasn't been around quite as long as we have. Our bodies have evolved to operate on the natural daylight cycle. And so we have these internal clocks built into us. So our body responds to the environment around us. So there's a couple things on this graphic that I want to kind of illustrate because this is where we get so far off. It's the same issue that people have why we need to see the chiropractor because of all the unnatural stress and how far we've come from how natural the body is designed to be. It's the same thing with our sleep cycle, and this is where we tend to go wrong. And all the strategies are all about how do we get back on the cycle to help our body stay in this kind of rhythm. If you look here, this is your morning hours, this is your daytime, this is the end of the day. You have nighttime, sunlight, nighttime. During the daytime, if you follow this line here, this line is your cortisol. Are you guys familiar with cortisol? It's the stress hormone, if anybody's not familiar with it. When you are exercising, when you are stressed, when you are running, you are pumping cortisol through your body. It's your active hormone, it's what's keeping your body moving. It also does cause inflammation, so too much stress and anxiety is what causes issues in the body with inflammation, and also can cause issues with getting back to sleep. Cortisol has this inverse relationship with melatonin. You guys familiar with melatonin? This is usually what people kind of hear about when they're talking about sleep and how to get better sleep. So in the daytime, you have your cortisol coming up, you're active, your stress is going through your body, you're moving around. At the nighttime, you need that melatonin to spike. That allows your body to move into sleep. So that is what's facilitating the sleep process to slow your body down and allowing it to rest and recover. It drives these processes that your body needs when you're sleeping at night. These have an inverse relationship. And so cortisol is supposed to spike in the daytime, melatonin at night. If we're not getting normal sunlight, if we're not having active temperature change, this starts to affect these cycles. So chronically stressed people with too much cortisol, that pumps through the rest of the day. If you have a ton of anxiety at night, it can be pumping cortisol through your body, keeping you up from sleeping. I'm sure we've all kind of experienced this at some point. Right? If you're not taking in enough melatonin, it's going to prevent you from sleeping. Now, a big mistake that people will do is they'll just try to take more and more and more melatonin. It's not a good strategy. Right? We become tolerant, we become resistant to it. Melatonin is a supplement. Your body makes melatonin naturally. Melatonin is not a drug to put you to sleep. If your body is off of this cycle and you're just taking more melatonin to try to go to sleep, you're making yourself more and more resistant to it. Right? Your body's not using it, it's not on that natural cycle, and so the more you put in, the more it has a bounding around your body, and the more it's not going to use it. And so it's going to turn off those receptors so that now your body's not even taking it in, and you become resistant to it. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, so are you recommending that you don't take melatonin?
You can as a supplement to help your sleep. You got to fix the root cause of these issues, and so there's a lot of other things that you can do, and the issue really to avoid, small dose melatonin is okay, but taking more and more and more does not fix the problem. And that's an issue that a lot of people will try to do to solve this. Right? The same way that taking sleeping meds isn't going to really fix the sleeping problem. Right? It will help you to get to sleep, and as we're talking about, sleep is essential, so I'm not here to bad talk medication, right? But it doesn't fix what's gotten you off course here, that's not allowing your body to actually rest and recover. Right? With this chart, one of the things to point out here is this temperature. Right? During the day, you get hotter. You're moving around, your body is exercising, that's natural. You get hotter during the day, and you get cooler at night. So that's something we'll talk about, because temperature is a super useful tool to help drive your body into these processes. getting it cool at night, exercising during the day. We're going to talk about that. Same thing with the sunlight. Getting up and getting out and getting sunlight is amazing for your body to stay on this circadian rhythm. We sit inside with these unnatural lights all day, and so our body gets confused because it's constantly taking in the environment around us. These light bulbs did not exist a long time ago, right? Humans 100 years ago used to get on average at least an hour and a half more sleep. 100 years is not a long time in human history, and so the body has not adapted quicker than that, and so we still need to get that kind of rest, but we're just not getting it because of the demands in our lifestyle and the stresses. So all of these things have really broken down this whole cycle that we are built to have. And so I'll reference back to this, but I want to make sure that makes sense for everybody, because that's the flow that keeps our body moving through the daytime, and it is cued in. So everything that we can do to help facilitate that cycle, keep our body on that routine, is just going to help it. The same way we have rhythm with our chiropractic adjustments to keep the body moving and keep it regular, your consistent exercise, all of that helps the body to move faster because the body looks for these patterns and routines. We've been training ourselves our whole lives with these lights and the different things we do and watching TV at night, and those are the cues that our body wants. We eat sugar at night because our brain wants sugar because it's trained to look for those things. They're habits that we've built, and we have to start to break up the habits. And I'm not telling you to change your whole lifestyle tonight, but we gotta start one step at a time. And so I'm gonna jump into some strategies. Take home 1 or 2 things to do tonight. There's a lot of things that I'm gonna be going through. Don't change everything at once, that's not generally successful. Take 1 or 2, start implementing over time. You start to develop these habits with consistency. If you can do something for 90 days, it's a locked in habit. So consistency, just stick with it, and I promise you're gonna see a difference. So what can we do? Number 1, routines. Right? This is a natural cycle that we're trying to work on. So as much as we can be routine with these things, the better. Your body likes routines. Everything has a rhythm in your body. Your circadian clock is a rhythm. So going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time. I know it's not always easy. As much as we can stick to that cycle, it is so much better for our body. Even on a day when you might not have work on the weekend and you can sleep in a little bit longer, you still really want to try to wake up within about half an hour plus or minus from where you normally do. That consistency allows your body to stay on schedule, and so it knows you're going to go to bed at the same time, it knows you're going to wake up. It is much easier to keep that routine if you can do that consistently. Just training your body, your brain likes patterns. If it doesn't have to think about things, it can automate it. It is great at doing that, and so the easier you make it for your brain and body, the better you're going to be off and the more successful you're going to be. So, consistent times. Sleep, going to sleep, waking up, right? Routines as far as cues. What do you do at nighttime? Do you have a bedtime routine? Things that prepare you for going to sleep. The same way we want everyone to lay down on the table and relax before their adjustment prepares the body for an adjustment. You get a better adjustment that way. For sleep, pajamas are your nighttime uniform. That is your sleep uniform, right? And we'll talk about, you don't want to be hot by any means, but what do you put on for a night can cue your body in to be ready for sleep. Right? The same way you put on your clothes in the morning, you're ready to go to work. So you can use that as a cue. Scents, right? What are you smelling? You can use scents to help cue your body in for sleep as well. Lavender is great for nighttime, so using some essential oils with an oil diffuser, turning that on every night. Your body's cued in to pick that up. You're using all that sensory input to help shift yourself to sleep. And it's the same thing when we wake up in the morning and we smell coffee and we're right on our toes. We have that cue, our body is used to that. So using that kind of sensory input can really help. Other routines you can do, body work, different things to help relax the body before bed. Maybe it's stretching, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's breath work. I personally like to try to foam roll if possible. It's like getting a massage essentially at home. Think about when you get a massage, do you ever want to go out and go run a marathon right after getting a massage? Your body wants to go to bed, you want to go home, you want to go to sleep and relax. Right? You're releasing muscle fascia So you're putting your body through some of the stress to break up these muscle adhesions, and then the body wants to go into repair mode. So that's a great way to get yourself ready for sleep, and it helps with your mobility, and you're gonna wake up less stiff and sore the next day. So getting a good stretch routine, getting a firm foam roller to use and roll the body out at night, those are great, great activities to keep your body in for sleep. But routine, what are you doing? Right? Are you just going in and watching TV? Are you eating? Are you mixing it up? Is your body still guessing at what's going on? Or do you have consistency with what you do? Routines. Body likes routines. Moving on. The best routine of all. And this is probably the number one thing that you will see if you talk to anybody or any organization. Exercise is the best thing you can do for your sleep. Now, going back to that sleep cycle that I was showing you guys before, you want your cortisol, sorry, I went too far. You want your cortisol spiking in the morning. You want to be hotter during the daytime. So getting out and doing exercise during the daytime is a great way to keep your body on this cycle. Especially if you can get out in the early morning hours. The early morning sun, when it's still low in the sky and rising, is the best, most healthy time to get out. You get the most nutrients from the sun. You are cueing your circadian rhythm into the daytime, and then you're moving around, going for a walk. Those things get the cortisol moving, and that way when you get to nighttime, it comes back down, and you shift right into sleep. So if you exercise too close to sleep, and you're pumping this cortisol in when you're getting ready to go to bed, you're going for a high intensity workout, you're gonna have trouble with getting back to sleep. So that's why foam rolling is a great way to get your body moving, stretching, something easy, nice to do, but get your exercise in during the day. If you can get yourself moving, it burns up that energy. At night, the body goes back into sleep. So exercise is super, super important. It's a great stress reliever. Obviously, it's good for a lot of other things, but it really does help with sleep. Try not to do it too close to bedtime. Moving on. You probably expected this to come. All of us know this. I struggle with this. We all tend to struggle with this, most of us. But turning off your screens, I mean, this is really, really a huge part of trying to get better sleep, and this is a big struggle for a lot of people. Those screens, these TVs, have a lot of blue light. I imagine you may have heard of this. Blue light is stimulating all the light outside during the daytime. Blue light keeps us awake. It suppresses the production of melatonin. So we don't want all that blue light flooding us at night. We really want to turn off all those screens. If you can do it at least an hour before bed, great. 2 hours, even more ideal. You want to find what works well for you, but the sooner you can shut off the screens, the better the body is at shifting into the nighttime sleep. If you didn't think that this was important, why do all our phones get darker at night? There is no way that those huge corporations would cause those phones to dim out at night if they didn't know how important that was for you and didn't want to have all these kind of issues. And they wouldn't waste their time doing that. But that's why these phones shift to a night mode, and you get that warmer light. You want to shift out of that blue light to a warmer light. So if you have a TV in your bedroom and you do watch TV before bed, at least shift it to a warmer tint. That's going to help you. You want to have more of those softer lights into your bedroom. That's why typically in your living room and other areas you see more of these fluorescent lights. In bedrooms you tend to have a softer light. The human body is more trained and tuned to having candlelight or firelight, like in a cave when we were cavemen sleeping there. Those are the things the body looks for. So it wants that softer light. Those bright lights, we think of daytime. The screens are all giving you that blue light. If you can't get rid of the screens, you can get blue light blockers. They make glasses, and those things can help. Right? It's not the ideal solution, but there's some evidence to show that that will help at least with reducing some of these effects. But shutting off the screen, develop a new nighttime routine. I was listening or reading something, and they were doing a presentation about sleep and asked an audience of several hundred people, well, what else do you think you could do at night? And everyone was just, I don't know, what else can you do? One person could read a book, right? Read a book. Journal. Journaling is a great nighttime routine. It is wonderful for your mental health to get out your thoughts during the day. Journaling is a good exercise to do. Stretching, do a puzzle, something like that. You can engage your mind, but nothing stressful, and try to avoid the screens. You just want to build those other habits. I've done this before, and most of these things I've done, I'll admit, right? And that's why I've developed some of these habits over time, slowly trying to get better and improve on these things. But if you are sitting on your phone at night and scrolling, besides the tremendous amount of anxiety that can come from doing things like that, you're just flooding your light, or your eyes with light and blue light and signaling it to keep the melatonin production down and keep the cortisol levels up. And that's going to keep you off your normal sleep cycle. So those are things to watch out for. The screens, please. Bedroom environment. So on the topic from screens, we'll just talk about light overall. So yes, you want softer lights in your bedroom, warmer lights, those are great. You want to, ultimately, when you're going to sleep, get rid of all of the lights. Imagine your bedroom is your sleep sanctuary, your oasis. This is what you want to create to make sure your body knows that this designated space is for sleep and, I'm sorry, I don't know how old you are, but for sex. Those are the two things, right? That is all the bedroom is for, right? Sleep and sex. Nothing else, right? You should not be doing work in bed. You should not be eating in bed. When you do all these other things, you're cueing your body to look for those things rather than associating with what it's exactly designed for. And so if you are having issues with staying asleep or you're having anxiety or not being able to fall asleep, you really do want to get out of the bedroom. You don't want to associate the bed with that kind of anxiety and that stress of trying to fall asleep. You want to remove yourself, go read a book, do a puzzle, come back when you're tired and you're feeling like you're ready to fall asleep so that you're not just sitting there and associating that kind of stress with your bedroom. You want that to be your place of peace. So darkness, all the lights out of the room, blackout curtains, great thing to have. Right? Any of those little lights, and this is actually something new. You won't hear every doctor admit that they were wrong about something. The research has changed. There was a research study that I told everyone about a year and a half ago that they did, where they shined a light the size of a quarter on the back of someone's knee, and they saw melatonin production went down from shining one light the size of a quarter on the back of your knee, if you can imagine that. And your body is covered in photoreceptors, and so it's sensitive to all those things, and those little lights make a bigger difference than you might think. They have since studied more into it, and so the truth is that it is really your eyes that are picking up that light more so, and that's what's sending the signals to your brain. So eye masks are really great if you're comfortable enough wearing that to block all the light out. Eye masks are super, super useful. You do want it quiet in there, right? When we're used to sleeping, we're not used to being in like a busy, city, noisy area. We're used to removing ourselves into a quiet, safe place. So you want quiet in there. Natural sounds are great for falling asleep. Like I said, like the oasis, like running water and different things like that, little jungles. Things that help soothe you are great to cue you into. But if you have noise and other things going on from the streets, earplugs are a great idea as well. But blocking all that light out is certainly a huge issue. And going back to our sleep cycle that we're talking about, number one thing, if you want to try one thing right away, I promise you this is probably the most effective, keep it cold in your bedroom. Keep it cold. Okay. The studies and research that they have show that about 65 to 69 degrees is where you want to be at night. Sorry, you say never. My girlfriend said never. Take the temperature down 1 degree at a time. Okay. I know it might sound impossible. I'm freezing. There are a lot of things that you can get to actually control your temperature at night. They make temperature sensitive blankets, mattresses even. You don't have to spend a ton of money, right? But there are things that you can do. You can get cooling sheets, you can get cooling pajamas, cooling pillows, cooling mats for your mattresses. You want to keep your core temperature cool at night. The body is hot during the day, at night it needs to cool down. So if you have a ton of blankets and you're just heating up internally, you're gonna put yourself at a disadvantage. I promise you, try to get it cooler, you will see a difference. My girlfriend fought me tooth and nail on that to start, and we take the temperature down 1 degree at a time until we got down to around 70, 69. She would have it no other way now. Sleeps much better, you will sleep better rested through the night, you're not gonna get sweaty and agitated, you will stay in a much deeper sleep. It is one of the most effective things you can do with an easy, quick fix to just cool it down. It's what your body's looking for.
And then how do you wake up in the morning?
Yeah, when you get back up in the morning, turn the thermostat right back up. Don't worry. Yeah, that's definitely important. You gotta remember to do that so it's not freezing during the day. Absolutely. But yeah, this is very, very helpful. One other thing that I did since the last time we did this workshop, what I told people was you don't really want to take a super hot shower right before bed because you're going to heat yourself up. But that's something I had always done, and so I thought that was a little interesting. I looked into it more, and actually it's really great for you. When you do have a hot shower, hot bath, it actually draws the heat out of your body. And so it does actually cool your internal temperature, and that can help you to get to sleep easier. So that's something you can do, and typically what I will do is I'll turn the shower to cool before I get out to just kind of calm things back down so you're not running super, super hot. Because that is what's going to help you drift off to sleep so much better and stay asleep and get better rest. So cool environment. Dark, cool, get some plants in there, get some oxygen flowing through the room. Yeah.
What about tea?
Tea?
Because it's hot.
Yeah. So you don't necessarily want to have super, super hot tea. You don't want to be drinking something super hot that's going to cause your gut to start to heat up. But tea is good. Like chamomile tea does have ingredients in it that is great for putting you to sleep. There are some things that are natural, kind of sleepy additives into chamomile tea, so that's a good one to do. But yeah, you don't really want it to be super, super hot. That's something to try to avoid. Yeah. But plants, fresh air, those are the things you want. Right? And you want to be cool, so you don't necessarily need a bunch of pajamas. I know I said that's your sleep outfit, and so yeah, that is okay, but you want it to be cool things, keeping you cool, moisture wicking, making sure that you're comfortable when you're sleeping. Those are really, really effective things to do. Nutrition. What do we need with our nutrition? First off, we talked about melatonin. So just a very, very, very brief explanation of melatonin. Melatonin is produced by serotonin. These are the precursors that you need to create these things in your body. Serotonin is produced in your gut, so having good gut health and a good microbiome in your gut is very important. But serotonin is made from tryptophan. So these are things that we need in our diets. So that's why when you eat turkey at Thanksgiving, there's a lot of tryptophan in it. It's in a lot of other things. You can look up all the tryptophan foods. That's why we all get so sleepy after Thanksgiving. There's a lot of those things that we need, the molecules that create melatonin and allow us to go to sleep. So you need to have some of these things in your diet. You need vitamin C. You need vitamin D. These are important things. If you're deficient in some of these nutrients, it doesn't allow your body to drive through these sleep processes. Magnesium is a big one. Magnesium is essential to drive your sleep. About 80-something% of America is deficient in magnesium now. It's a big issue. It also causes muscle soreness, achiness. If you're getting crampy, magnesium can usually be an issue. It is definitely an effect for sleep. There are lots of supplements you can take for magnesium. There are different kinds. Some of them do different things. Some people respond better to other ones. If it upsets your stomach, there may be other kinds you can use. If it ends in ATE, magnesium something, magnesium citrate, stearate, that's an okay one to use. That's more digestible by your body. But magnesium is an essential thing for your sleep. You can also get it naturally in your leafy green vegetables, your grass-fed meats and eggs. Those are important things for your nutrition to make sure you're getting that magnesium to help drive these processes.
How many milligrams is a recommendation for a supplement?
It probably depends on the type that you're taking. I don't know exactly off the top of my head. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, if you can get it naturally, that would be my recommendation first off, making sure you're getting your leafy greens in particular. That can help with that. But yeah, you can also take the supplements, and they'll usually say on there what the recommended dosage would be based on the size of the supplement. Caffeine, you guys probably know. You don't want caffeine later in the day. That does cause a stimulant for the body. Typically 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock is like the cutoff range. It's a little different for everybody, so that's something you can kind of play with for yourself, but try to avoid the caffeine later on in the day. Chocolate has a trace amount of caffeine, so if you are very sensitive to it, you might not want to be eating that towards bedtime because that will keep you up and drive you there. So caffeine you want to avoid. If you are going to snack before bed, truthfully, you don't really want to eat a lot before bed because that causes your body to be trying to digest food and it's diverting energy towards your stomach and digestion instead of its rest and repair where it's really recovered from the day. So you want to make sure you stop eating usually about an hour, 2 hours before bed at least if you can. I know it can be tough with our schedules sometimes If you do eat later at night, you definitely want to avoid things that are high in protein. Your body takes longer to break down proteins. You want to move more towards like a simple carbohydrate. So something like a whole grain bread or cracker or oatmeal, those are a little bit better. Oatmeal, you gotta watch what you're eating because you don't want a lot of sugar though. If you're eating a lot of sugar at night, like we were kind of saying, your brain looks for those things. Your brain consumes more sugar than any part of your body. So if you have a sweet every night, your brain is looking for that kind of feedback to keep feeding on all that sugar. So don't let your brain control you, you control your brain. Yep.
So for protein, what would you say is the latest?
I mean, generally, you probably want it like 2 hours before bed at least. But
Okay.
you want to shift your protein, and that's more of like a nutrition type of talk. But generally, protein earlier in the day is better. Obviously, everyone kind of eats meals a little bit different. This is all overall. Everybody has to kind of figure out where you find the balance. It's about what naturally fits for you. But yeah, earlier on in your day, the better. So try to shift towards your carbohydrates at night. Posture. I'm sure you guys would expect it's coming. We are a chiropractic office after all. Posture is very important for how you're sleeping. Okay? Your pillow placement is super, super important. This is often a quick fix. If you are getting about 8 hours of sleep at night, you're spending a third of your day in your bed. This can make or break you. We always teach all our patients, make sure you're not sleeping on your stomach. If you don't know the reason why, you have to breathe. Excuse me, when you're on your stomach, your pillow is going to generally push your head back. You're going to compress those nerves in your neck to the maximum that they can be. And these nerves in the lower part of the neck in particular, if you didn't know, go to your heart and your lungs. So you're going to restrict blood flow to and from your brain. You're going to restrict oxygen flow through your body. It's not going to allow your body to heal appropriately. And it's certainly not going to allow your brain to drive those processes that it needs. So don't sleep on your stomach. And when you're on your back or your side, you really do want to try to find this neutral position here. Your spine is designed with this proper balance. That's what we work to restore here with our office. And so if you're pushing your head too far forward, you're going to strain, you're going to break down your neck curve. If your head's coming back too far, it's going to compress into the upper neck here. You're going to restrict these muscles and the blood flow to the brain. If you're on your side and you're tilting, you're spending all night compressing one side of the neck, stretching these muscles, you're definitely going to wake up with some soreness over time. The body will tolerate for a while, but the more and more we do these kind of habits, the more it's going to break us down. These positions are a large component of what causes people to develop the postural positions and patterns that they have, which we're finding every time when people come in. So watch out for this. It's something you can have somebody look at you to make sure when you're on your side, your ear should be relative to your shoulder, not pushing forward, not coming back. You want to make sure that you are really supporting the neck when you're on your back. When you're on your side, everyone has different shoulders. So you want to make sure you're keeping your head neutral. It's not tilted into the pillow. We typically do this. We pull up a shoulder, whatever side we're on. We tuck in here. That's the kind of tendency to do that. And you're going to feel soreness since these muscles are going to be tired and crampy. And so you want to open that up, keep the spine neutral. That allows for maximum blood flow, oxygen flow, nerve coordination through the body. Mattress is important too. You don't need to spend tons of money on a mattress. Those good mattresses that are very expensive are great because they do customize the fit that you need for the pressure for your body. The idea is to keep your spine in a proper balance, again, because all those nerves coming out of your spine control every organ and tissue in your whole body. If your mattress is too hard, you're not going to allow your shoulders or your hips to sink into it. And so it's going to be pushing you forward, and it's going to cause strain in different directions. If your mattress is too soft, which is generally what happens over time, they start to sink. And so you're going to compress into the bed, and again, you're stretching your spine in a certain direction that's going to affect all the nerves and the flow of the muscles. You want something that's going to allow you to be neutral. It is one reason why some of those like sleep number beds are fantastic, because you can custom fit your size to you, and if you have two people and it's divided, not everyone's the same shape. Someone who has more curves needs a little more sink into the bed to accommodate if you're laying on your side. If you're on your back, generally firmer is going to be better. But people are different shapes and sizes, so you need to find something that allows your spine, your body to be relaxed, because you're going to spend a lot of time there. Make sense?
Yeah.
And being adjusted is definitely something that helps with your sleep. And so I know most of you guys are patients here, which is fantastic. This is a huge impact. your brainstem is controlling your body's ability to go from that stress state during the day to that rest and recovery state at night. It's your sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous systems. If you guys aren't familiar with that, sympathetic is your fight or flight, your gas pedal. You need that during the day to keep you active and moving. Parasympathetic is your rest and recovery, your brake pedal. Your brainstem and your nervous system controls this. If it's in a proper balance, it can coordinate that better. There's massive amounts of chiropractic research about this, that you need to have proper flow of your nervous system to control this process. If you're out of balance, you are going to restrict your body's ability to coordinate that control. You're going to restrict the blood flow to the brain. And while you're sleeping, your brain again is cleaning itself out. So if it's not getting proper blood flow and nutrients, it's going to have a hard time doing that. When you're getting out of position here and putting pressure on the brainstem of these nerves, you're affecting the coordination to your lungs. Your lungs don't breathe as well at night. So this is essential part of being able to sleep. And if you recall me telling you about someone that I knew who fell asleep behind the wheel, that you guys might all know, that person was Dr. Justin Brown, who owns the clinic. That's why he does NUCA care, because he fell asleep behind the wheel, woke up in a hospital. He suffered from chronic fatigue. His body did not have the energy it needed to stay awake in college and to stay awake behind the wheel. That's why he found NUCA that helped him get on track to now he's a world-ranked CrossFit competitor, and you would never know that the guy has ever suffered from chronic fatigue. This is an essential part of your body functioning, so you do need a nervous system. I'm glad that you guys are here to help facilitate this, because it does have a massive impact. But it's all about getting back to that natural cycle. So again, your body has a natural balance, and it's coordinated to function based on the environment around us. So if you can do some of these things to help facilitate the body, we're going to sleep like babies. That's the idea. Okay. So this is, super important information. Please do share this with people that you know. We need to make a change. It's scary to think about how many people are dozing off behind the wheel, and we're all being overstimulated, and the stress doesn't go anywhere. That's why we need to have ourselves checked for our alignment. We need to get proper rest and recovery. I know you don't want to go into a surgery from a doctor who had no sleep the night before. None of us want that. No athlete's going to perform well. You don't want to take a test without sleeping, right? All these things your body needs, and it will give you the signs. So work on some of these things. I'll hang around for any questions anybody has. But thank you guys for coming. I hope you share this with your loved ones so we all sleep better and get better rest. Thank you.
Thank you.